G'day rascals, and welcome to another episode of Epic Humans. Today I'm interviewing Brian Smith of Africa Roars. G'day Brian, how are you today?
Great, Callum. Nice to be here, mate.
Yeah, great seeing you. I'm looking forward to the opportunity of learning all about what Africa Roars is and what it's meant to you, and yeah, like very much looking forward to it. So do you want to tell the listeners what is Africa Roars?
Okay, good place to start. All right, Africa Roar has been the change of my life. And it started probably 8 years ago. Bit of a traveller, loved traveling, went to Mongolia, Siberia, went to Africa with a mate and fell in love. And fell in love so much so that I built a tented lodge in a private game park in Swaziland.
Wow.
And that started the shift in my life. So my background is engineering, sick of it, didn't like it, was wondering, well, what's the next step? And I think, and we'll probably go on this later, but I started thinking different from my mind to my heart and going, wow, I think my life needs something different. So I built a lodge just through the challenge. I had no end result on that stage. I just wanted to build the lodge. Yeah. Magnificent. It's in a tent. It's glamping, king size bed, full on suite on the river. Best place to have a coffee and a think ever, or a drink. I love it. And then I started taking the family and friends over, and then through word of mouth, I started getting calls from people all over Australia going, hey, Brian, I'm a friend of Kenny's. You took him to Africa. Can we come? I'm going, yeah, mate, no worries. And just set it up, and it rolled from there. So it took me out of a spot that I wasn't too happy in anyway. Mm-hmm. And it's just, if I had to describe it now, I've found my purpose and my passion. Mm-hmm. And I think if you find those two things, the follow on to that is you get your power. And your power is the result of it. And there's I've got hours of stories, but my real passion is to take people over and change their life for the better. Yeah. And by doing that, one of my big passions over there is helping the disadvantaged and AIDS orphans over there. AIDS is run about 32%. No orphanages, so kids are like living under tin. And we've set up a program to help feed them and also help send them to school. So I don't tell a lot of people about that. I just do that behind the scenes. So every trip, more goes in, and we're up to 8 kids now we're sending through primary school. And a nice story is one of the girls we decided to send through to high school as well, because she was just smashing it, and she's a real leader for the village. Mm-hmm. She's gonna be something special in life. And we found out a couple of months ago that she's been accepted to medical school at the university. So she'll go on, and she's a special lady. She's a lady now, not a kid. And it's nice being part of that, just in the background. And I love everything else, but
That's such an amazing story. Like, to be able to help someone in that way. And doing it from a space where you're not going, oh, I need the glory, we've been talking for a few months now, and this is the first I've heard of this stuff. So that's incredible. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's nice to share. And I think you're right. Like, to me, if I had to draw back, it's just me giving back. The people there are lovely. They treat me so well. I'm like part of the family. I am known as this weird Aussie dude that walks around Swaziland, but apart from that, I can take it all right. Yeah. So it's nice, I think, just to give back.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah. So you were saying you started in engineering.
Yeah. So if you go back through my life, I'm actually an ex-Sparky. that kept going to school and did drafting, kept going to school, did engineering, was in oil and gas, like worked in refineries, which was, you know, fine and a challenge at the time. But then I think I started to change in myself, and I'm going, it's not really helping the earth a lot by what they're doing. And I get to hear the behind the scenes stuff of what happened as well. So I guess it just didn't sit right for me. I've met some great people that talk about living from your heart, as we spoke about. William Whitecloud's one of them, which I did ages ago. He was actually the one that got me into Swaziland because he was born there. So I went over with him, and that started the ball rolling in the transition of my life, which I've got to say just quietly, I'm so happy about. You know, I'm so happy.
Yeah, it's, you know, like I've learned about like following your heart, and that for me has really transformed my life. You know, like you, I was in the printing trade for a long time. Didn't have much satisfaction, and it's a common story, but many people just don't move beyond that. They just figure they've got to work till they retire, and you know, there's this illusion that once they retire, they're going to enjoy their life. And yeah, I think with tradespeople in particular, and look, some people like you know that that's where they're meant to be.
Yeah.
However, I feel like there's a lot of people who feel so trapped in that, and then by the time they retire, their bodies aren't working because they've had to work it to breaking point again and again and again, and yet they still don't trust the heart.
Yeah. Listening to the heart. And
Yeah.
I've actually, just of late, I read, if you're doing a job that's your passion, it's not a job. It's just a great part of your life. And yeah, I can totally relate to that. Like, married, got a wife, Denise. She comes over, not every time with us because she's at uni, but as soon as she gets off at our place, she goes, I just feel like I'm home. It's just got that effect.
Wow.
And, you know, people go, oh, Brian, you're so lucky, you know, you go to Africa. I'm going, it's a tough job, mate, but, you know, I struggle through. But it's not a job because it's my passion. So I just enjoy every second. And I think that even transcends across to the people that come over. It's interesting. I've had 100% success rate in that when we end up partying at Johannesburg at the end of the trip, everyone said it's the best trip they've ever done. So, and that's the end result I want. You know, that's regardless of everything else. If they've had a whale of a time and changed their life for the better, my heart is just complete. That's exactly what I want, regardless of everything else. Yeah.
That's incredible. So, all right, say I have signed up for you to take me over to Africa.
You lucky bloke. Oh yeah, sorry.
So what do the trips look like? Are there different packages or how does it work?
Yeah, good question. So what I've done at the moment, I had to start somewhere. And I guess this has been in transition. The last couple of, well, prior to this, last couple of years is when it's sort of taken off and I started getting serious. Before that, I'd call it a hobby. So I'd go over a couple of times a year with friends and friends of friends. And it started getting out there and I guess getting a bit more zoom. I want to go over 7 times a year. So I started off and I made up a itinerary, but it's live. And when I say live, it's fully guided by me. You don't have to worry about a thing, not one thing. It's fully catered for, so you leave your wallet at home. I do look after all the cleaning, borders, tipping, accommodation, flights, train trips, everything. So it takes that stress out of you. And the other thing is it's unique in that, like I said, normally only take a maximum of 6. So if we're going from A to B and someone goes, hey, Brian, there's a waterfall. I'm going, cool, do you want to go and have a look at it? Oh, can we? Of course we can. Down we go, and they're going, oh, I want to set up my camera. I'm going, mate, I love being here. Take as long as you like. So they set the camera up.
Yeah.
Walk back to the car and go, oh, wow, no one's ever done that for me before. I'm going, mate, that's what a holiday is meant to be. And so I guess my, whatever you call it, tagline is that you want to be a traveller, not a tourist. And that's the part of it. So it's not like get off the bus at 10 o'clock for morning tea, get on at 10:15, go to the next spot, lunch at 12, get up. Nah, it's just, we're going to end up here tonight, but whatever comes in front, and things present all the time. I've driven past, or people see the video, but I've driven through Kruger and go, hey, you never see anything here. And then I've had a bull elephant walk down the road and he's 2 meters ahead of us, and I'm reversing the car and people in the back are going, well, quite a few swear words, I won't say it here. And the elephant walked right beside us, close enough you could have touched it, and the people in the back go, I got some fantastic photos. I'm going, yeah, it happens to me all the time. I go, but it's just live experiences. And I think that's what life's about for me. That's what I really love, is these things that just present themselves and give you that great experience. Yeah. And once again, I think if your heart's open, they present themselves to you.
Yeah, well, it's like you're the intuitive tour guide, Brian.
Yeah. Yeah. So back to your question. At the moment, I've taken people over for longer, but there's an 18-day itinerary. Starts off in Johannesburg, fly down to Swaziland, which is now called Eswatini. The king changed the name last year. Apparently, if you're a king, you can do that. Go figure. Go up to Kruger, fly down to Cape Town, wild bus trip, train trip back to Johannesburg. And then just about every trip, I've taken people up to Victoria Falls as well. So that's a wow of a place up in Zimbabwe.
Wow.
So, yeah. So it's good, but like I said, it's alive in that it's not set times, set days. This is what we're going to do. But on the travelling time, if you see something, or if I see something, we're going to give it a crack and have a look, because I want new adventures too. So
yeah, well, I guess when you're dealing with a wild place, you know, it'd be pretty silly to go, oh well, we're going to be in this spot at this time.
Yeah, you just can't. You can't do that, especially in the wild. You got to keep yourself open to the elements and whatever's presented to you, and that just guides you every day. So when you keep it open, and I guess that's why I love it. You know?
Yeah, it's so good.
People go, oh, do you ever get sick of this, Brian? You know, you've been coming over for 8 years. I'm going, not so far. So it's been good.
Yeah. So was it with William Whitecloud that you did the first trip to Africa?
Yeah. Originally did his soul safari. I actually did 2 with him over there. The second one, we did an extension one up to Mozambique, which was really good too. And it was after the first one I fell in love and talking to him and started talking to the manager. And the second trip over, my place was under construction. So between trips, I got to see that time as well. And it's interesting now, William hires my place off me. So
oh wow.
So it's quite a nice tie-in.
Yeah, absolutely. And so obviously things are a little bit difficult now with not being able to travel. But I don't know, it's probably still worth people getting in contact with you if they are
for sure
interested in working with you in the future.
And it's never a problem. I love talking about it. People want to know different aspects of the trip. and it's very open. I've spoken to you about it. I've got Shaman friends over there that you can go and see where it's at. You can go, we go to cultural events, go to schools, which is very interesting over there as opposed to Australian or European schools, in that you see, A, they struggle, but B, the kids are the happiest you'll ever find. Like, I'm looking at little ones, the only clothes they're wearing is the clothes they own, that's it. And they're as happy as anything. And I think that's been a big learning for me too, that takeaway that, think a bit different. It's not all about material things, it's about your life, and, if you can laugh.
Yeah, and getting back to basics, which I think
that's
it. In our culture, we forget about. We live in this world that's very materialistic, it's sort of like, I remember thinking a few years ago how it's strange how no matter what someone is earning, they're slightly living beyond their means.
Yeah, they're still not happy. Yeah. How many people do you know that, I don't know, are earning $200,000-$300,000 and they're still not happy?
No.
And you go,
yeah.
And look, I've got to be truthful. I was one of those people years ago. That, I had to have the new car. Now completely different. What would I really love to do? Walk down the botanical gardens and sit around the trees in Geelong. That is fabulous. Go down there at sunset and see the colours as well. So my life's definitely changed in that respect too.
Yeah. So do you remember, was it through William Whitecloud's work that you started listening to, I'll call it your truth, your heart's desire rather than what your head was telling you?
Yeah, it's definitely, that's an interesting story in my life for myself too. So up in Queensland on holiday with the family, I just read The Shaman, and I thought, what am I going to read now? Because I've got a bit of time. Walked in a bookshop, said to a girl there, need a book, this is what I read. She goes, everyone's reading this book called The Magician's Way. Don't know what it's about, but I went, cool, I'll read it. Going, well, what a good story. This William Whitecloud dude must be a North American Indian with a weird name like that. No, he lives up in Byron Bay. So next thing I get one of those emails, William Whitecloud's up in Melbourne for one night. So I'm going, oh, cool, I'm going to go see him, and Denise come with us. And he starts talking about this unbendable arm and how your subconscious holds the power to you moving forward. So depending on how you feed it, depending on your journey. And for some reason, it just clicked. So then he had a 3-day event in Melbourne, then he had an event up in Byron Bay, and it just snowballed from there. And then I ended up going across to do a soul safari in Africa with him.
Wow.
And that definitely, changed me, taught me about the heart for a start, and listening to your heart. And then through that, you probably know, you write your land of plenty out and your choices, and just a whole mindset shift to me, especially from where I came from, engineering, where, it was all calculus and, logic, whereas this is, a lot more freedom, I'd say, in your life. Yeah. Freedom to think. So, that was a dramatic change for me. And I guess for me, how old was I at that stage? 50-ish. So it's never too late to change, is what I'm saying. That's
an interesting point too, because I was one of those people that always thought it was too late. I should have started this journey, and then like I said, being in this job that I enjoyed working with the people, I love people. However, it wasn't feeding my soul. And like you, came to this conclusion being in printing, that seeing how much paper we're wasting and for what? Often it was just I don't know, just every day I just
Yeah,
was feeling a bit worse about it. Um,
yeah,
and certainly, like, yeah, when I first did the first course, Create Your Destiny, and what that, showed about your dysfunctions, and then, like these stories that are going on, and it's going on in everyone's head, like
yeah,
subconscious stories that really limit what we think we can achieve.
mm, yeah. Great way to explain it. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's interesting doing those courses. You go, in hindsight, yeah, I used to think like that. Yeah, and then I thought, oh, because I was by myself, I guess. You go, I'm a little weird. I shouldn't think like that. And now you go, now there's millions of people around the world that think like that. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
normal. Yeah, it's not abnormal. So, yeah,
Yeah, well, and I suspect the majority of people in the world are there thinking, "Oh, I'm not quite fitting in," because they're
yeah,
literally not living their life that they
yeah,
were put on this earth for.
exactly.
Yeah.
And great way to explain it again. Yeah,
Mm.
for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
And I was actually been thinking about this of late too. So I think everyone's got a passion. Everyone on earth has a passion,
Yeah.
but it might be the situation in at the moment that they can't bring it forward. Young family, got to work for kids,
Mhm.
school and all that sort of stuff. But I guess the bottom line, and for me, is just don't lose sight of your passion. You're going to be able to step into it one day. So even if it's not right here, right now, today,
Mhm.
keep holding on to it because the opportunities will come. So don't dismiss it, I guess is what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like there's a deep truth in that. And I also like came to the conclusion a few years back about personal investment.
Yeah.
Because
Very
I
important.
often hear this excuse, I don't have the money to do it and
Mm.
I can't afford this. And then, well,
Yeah.
ask yourself, like, how much you're spending on booze every week?
Exactly.
Like, do you
Yeah.
need Foxtel right now?
Yeah, exactly.
Like we invest in so much stuff that really has no bearing on where we want to
Yeah.
be. But when it comes to personal investment,
Yeah.
um, like,
Yeah.
yeah, like for my own journey was, like had mental health issues for a long time,
Yeah.
but it wasn't until I made that conscious decision to seek out and pay for people to help me
Mm.
that really started to shift a lot in my own consciousness. And also, that shift in consciousness opens up a whole world that's just waiting
Yeah.
for you
Yeah.
to come into it. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I agree. And for anyone that does that, it's probably the biggest step, but the best step of their life.
Yeah.
That's in summarizing it.
Mm.
You say to him, mate, it was a big step for you, but you've done it. And now it's the best thing you've ever done. So, yeah,
Yeah.
and look, I admire everyone that's done it. I think it's such a nice thing to see. And you can just see, I've got friends that have done it. I've got friends, they're now friends I've taken over to Africa and they were searching for something and they've come back 100% on track, invested in themselves, like you say. And life is just turned around 180. Like they've just got a smile 24/7 alone without all the other good stuff. So it's so nice to see. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, totally agree. Invest in yourself is a
Mm.
great thing. Mm.
Yeah. 100%. So yeah, it's beautiful. Like your heart was obviously had this connection to Africa,
Yeah,
that you've manifested into a beautiful, soul nourishing business.
yeah,
So good to
yeah.
hear. Is there any other ways that you've changed what you do, or any practices that you now practice? I guess for the want of a better word, that
Wow.
yeah. How's that
I've always got a
manifesting?
story.
Yes, absolutely.
So what I used to do in Africa for clients that came over, was to give them a sound healing with shamanic tools that I've just picked up over the decades. I've met people, you know, Wizard made these rattles. I'd happen to be in a shop when he's trying to sell it. I'm going, man, I want that. Became friends. He showed me how to use it, and for a few months did quite a bit of teaching with him, and then just brought it home. And then I went to another place, met a lady that had some Tibetan bells that were hand beating, you know, over 120 years ago, and she showed me how to use it. And then I made a collection. I got 4 of them, spent months doing these here, and then just brought it home. And then I guess, as I said, I used to take it over to Africa, and anyone that come over go, yeah, do you want a sound healing? I've brought all my gear over. And nearly everyone did. But since COVID, hasn't been a lot of Africa trips, so I haven't used it much.
Yeah.
And I've got a great coach at the moment, Amanda Hunt over in the UK, and she stepped in and she goes, oh, Brian, you're into crystals. I'm going, yeah, I've actually got rooms full of them. It's a bit of a fetish, actually. And she goes, you've got all this other, I'm going, yeah, I've got all this shamanic healing tools. And she goes, well, why aren't you using it? I'm going, oh, I don't know, maybe I should. So of late, I just put it out there to friends and that I do these, we call it a sound bath, and you're just immersing yourself in different vibrations, and it's for your chakra, your aura, your meridians and that. And I just get guided what to do, and so far everyone's loved it. There's no one that said, don't know about that. So, yeah. And I've had weird dudes. I had a Virgin pilot, like he was so interesting.
Yeah.
And I thought,
for the company Virgin.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, I didn't even think of that. But anyway, yeah. And like he's now a friend, and you know, for something different, he rings me up and he goes, oh, Brian, I want to smudge my house, because he was going through a bad divorce. I said, cool, dude, I'll come around. And he goes, right, you do it. I said, no, you do it. I'll tell you how to do it, but this is something you'll take on yourself. And I sat out in the backyard, took him about half an hour, smudged his house, and he goes, I feel so much better. I'm going, that's cool, dude. Keep doing it. Whenever you think needs doing. So I guess a little bit of that, what I got a taste in Africa, in that at my place, there's some sand paintings there that have been there for thousands of years. Awesome place to go. There's an iron ore mine just up the road that's been carbon tested to 40,000 years ago. So the sand we're digging out the iron ore, and that's what they mix with blood to do the paint of the that's up near my place on the sand painting.
Wow.
And I think that started it off and got me interested in the sand and shamanic. And you know, when you're into something, you just dig around, it presents itself to you. So yeah, even down, I had to come up with a business name to buy me place over there, because I'm a shareholder. I'm going, oh God, what am I going to call that? And just started Googling shamanic and come up with the term Axis Mundi. So Axis Mundi is a shamanic term where heaven meets earth. I'm going, oh, that so describes it. And it's the power, a tree can be an Axis Mundi because it drives up into the heavens and drives down to earth. My place is built in a forest. If you're into trees, you'll be in heaven. It's just got 800-year-old leadwood trees. It's just superb. So I guess a bit of that, I opened my heart to that, into shamanism. Yeah, I think there's something here. And then things just started presenting to myself. The singing bells, the rattles, at the time I didn't question it. I just thought, yeah, that's cool. And now it's all come together, and yeah, I get to help people. So that way, during these times. So yeah, that's an extension. And then once I start getting back, I'll just take all the tools going back again, and that'll be part of the trip too, which is
fantastic. And are you open to being contacted for sound healing, obviously, if people are in
Yeah,
Geelong
sure.
or the
Yeah,
region.
anyone wants to come or even just talk about it, I don't mind talking at all. They should probably keep up. So
Yeah.
always up for good chat with nice people. So no, not a problem there at all. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Oh, that's so
yeah,
cool. Yeah.
yeah. And you
Yeah.
just never know where life's going to lead. 6 months ago, I wouldn't have thought I'd be doing these sand baths in my place in Geelong.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm just getting calls from friends of friends going, Brian, I've never had one before. Can I come round? Sure, come on round. So yeah,
Yeah, well,
that's
the
cool.
sound bath, the theory behind it, it feels pretty solid to me now.
Mm.
Like it's proven that our bodies and beings are affected by vibrations.
Oh,
You know.
so much so. And it's interesting. I read an article the other day that they're actually using sing bowls in oncology for treatment now.
Yeah.
Now
Well,
that's
like,
that's got to say it's got a bit of something there, doesn't it?
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, it was like 10 years ago, 20 years ago. You
yeah,
talked about meditation, and the
yeah.
scientific community were very dismissive of it.
Oh, yeah,
Now, like I
yeah,
just finished my diploma of counseling,
yeah,
and the mindfulness practice they were encouraging with their students was, was center. Um,
yeah, yeah,
and it's very interesting that we live in this time where these sometimes
yeah,
very woo sounding practices are again
yeah,
and again being proven to be correct.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And for me, noticed exactly the same. This Virgin guy, if it had been in the good times, I probably would have never been here because he's on mega bucks, flying all over the world, living the high life. And
Hmm.
we just got talking in the streets and going, "There you go, mate. Yeah, good." Started talking,
Yeah.
and that's how the friendship struck up, and we're now friends. So in these times, it is presenting people with the opportunity to shift.
Mm.
Oh, I can't
Yeah.
go out. I'll sit down and think, oh, what do I really
Yeah.
want?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So,
Yeah. That's interesting. Like, and I'd sort of like to put it out there. It's almost like the world has had a bit of a nervous breakdown,
yeah.
right? And again, I'm going to talk a little bit into my self-healing journey. And, I've had a
Mhm.
couple of nervous breakdowns over the years. And the last one was a ripper. Like,
Oh,
did not like, it's probably 7 years ago now, maybe six. But, that left me as a shell of who I was.
yes.
But what that allowed me to do, and like I had this awareness, okay, what is a breakdown? Okay, so I wasn't living how I'm meant to be living.
Mm.
I was making the decisions that were going against what I should be doing. And that's why I strongly believe that's why we have these breakdowns. Now, a breakdown is a great opportunity to rebuild.
Yep.
So you're either going to go back to what you were doing and eventually, boom, the same thing will happen because,
Yeah.
all these things come in cycles. Or like
Yeah.
for me, and it was a process, took me a couple of years to go, okay, what's right? So I gave up drinking, like haven't had a drop of alcohol in years now. I kind of I'm not anti-alcohol, but for
Yeah.
me, I can't function with it.
Yeah.
And then, and then discovering meditation. I discovered tantric breath work, which is, it's almost like doing my own sound bath because I've learned
Oh.
the different pitches to connect
Mm.
with different chakra points.
Mm.
So I can, oh,
Yeah.
and then I'm feeling right into my heart space.
Yeah.
And it's such a great tool. And
Yeah.
like I just said, the fact that the world has really just gone boom this year,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
such a beautiful opportunity for people to take stock and look at
Yeah.
what's true for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Grab the silver lining, and however big the cloud is, and there's always something there for everyone. There's something there. Just look for it and open your
Yeah.
heart to it, I think, and it'll present itself.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
It was like when I made the decision, because again, it was like this, wow, this night, right? It was a mate's 40th in Magnetic Island. He
Oh,
hired a mansion for a week, and it was amazing. Like, it was just the best week ever. However, he had one night for the big party, heaps of people, like I don't know how many, and I was DJing, and I DJ'd for 5 or 6 hours, having a severe anxiety attack, right?
oh,
Which again is something that just was happening a few years ago. And then yeah, so when I finished, all these beautiful women were coming up and wanting to talk, and I just was brain dead at that point, and I was just like, my God, this has happened again. You know what? I need to fix this. So I came back to Melbourne and just was like, okay, I need help. And then boom, the universe just sent me this amazing teacher who I still work with today, Ellie Dayton, who I actually interviewed for the first
ah,
episode. And
yeah,
yeah, she's the one that got me to reconnect with myself and feel what parts of me weren't being nourished by my current trajectory.
ah,
And
cool.
my God. And then, yeah, the teachers will just keep presenting themselves. All you've got to do, and I
Mm,
strongly believe this, as soon as you really ask for the help,
yeah,
it'll come.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. And even in my own life, I think as you're trotting along in your journey, there'll be a why. You can either stay where you are, or you
Mm-hmm.
can go where your heart would love you to go,
Mm.
and the choice is yours.
Yeah.
Bottom line,
Yeah.
yeah.
But how
So
many of us have been taught to listen to our heart, like really listen to our heart,
yeah,
you
very,
know?
very little.
A
Yeah,
tiny amount, you know, like we are in again, like this culture is very head based. And
it
like,
is.
my God, we've also, this culture has produced absolute miracles, like, you know, computers,
Oh,
everything that's going on today, technology wise, you know, like, and some people in the spiritual community can be a bit down on Western medicine.
mm,
Now,
mm.
like, again, like a little side note, like years ago, I had a tumor on my pituitary gland, which was discovered by an absolute miracle. But anyway, I was on the waiting list. They took it out within 2 months. But you know, I had friends coming up. Oh man, you know, you should try alternative healing first.
Yeah,
And I was just like, look, there's a time for that.
yeah,
But if I'm dealing with
yeah,
a tumor,
yeah,
like Western
yeah,
medicine is really good at that, you know,
yeah,
and but
yeah.
it's also like I've got this strong belief that you can combine both philosophies.
I'm right with you there. I was going to say, if we've got a problem, I'll use the multi-prong effect.
Mhm.
Western, natural, whatever. And I don't care which one works, so long as one of them works.
Yeah,
So, and once again, we're after the end result. I want to
yeah,
be good to continue on. So whatever helps me, yeah, bring it on.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
whichever
like,
method.
yeah, and you know, it's so interesting to what you're telling me about. They're using singing bowls in oncology departments.
Mm,
You know, that's a great example of it, that exact philosophy. Um,
mm,
and it's we're living in a very interesting time in history too.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
as far as like spirituality, again, like I had this thought years ago. I was looking at MMA, like, you know, your mixed martial arts and what was going
yeah,
on in the martial arts world.
yeah.
And then I was looking at what's going on in the spiritual world, and I realized they're on the same path.
Mm,
Again, like some people have heard me talk about like comparing MMA to spirituality and getting a little bit upset. However,
yeah,
we are now in an age where we have hundreds, if not thousands, of philosophies
yeah.
available to us.
Oh, yes.
Thousands of years of knowledge.
Yeah, yeah,
And we are at an age where we can literally like cherry pick what works for
yeah.
us.
Snap of the fingers.
You know, like some people love crystals, some people love singing bowls, Some
Yeah.
people love to sit under a tree and meditate. And it's all correct.
Yeah. None of them are wrong.
No.
You find what fits with you, I think. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, 100%. What fits with you? You know,
Yeah.
you find the teacher that fits with you.
Yeah.
And also don't be afraid of rejecting a teacher if it doesn't fit. You know,
Yeah.
again, I've seen people that didn't find the right healer, and then they just move away from it.
Yeah.
It's like
True.
sometimes you gotta keep looking, you
Yeah.
know, and
Yeah.
then yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And like we keep talking, it'll present himself. You know,
Yeah,
whatever it is, whatever path, whatever. Yeah, just be open to it. Yeah,
yeah,
I think, and that's what's worked for me anyway. So,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So what about, like, tell me about the people that you've met since you decided to follow your heart. Like, how has that manifested in, like, you know, there'd be a before point and an after point.
And I guess another interesting story. So, had a group of friends, you know, working as an engineer and whatever. Um, to them now, I'm probably a weird dude that takes these wild trips to Africa and does sound healings. So, also in the transition, I've got to say, some people have dropped out of my life just naturally. There's been no blues or anything like that, just naturally. But like-minded people have dropped in my life. So, I've got beautiful friends now. Like I said, years ago, I thought I was the only one that was a weird dude walking around Geelong all by myself. Whereas now I know there is hundreds, all beautiful people. So, yeah, part of this transition is, and you're a great example, like fancy meeting Callum. He thinks a bit like me. Wow, that's cool. Yeah, strike up for friendship and away we go. So in answer to your question, the type of people that come into my life have been like-minded people, I guess. Little different, and everyone's different, which is great, but like that's where you learn from. But people that will support me on my journey, and I support other people on their journey. And I love doing that as well. So, yeah, I've got to say, and helicopter view, I guess my life's full of positive people now. They're not the knockers that go, they're hopeless at this, they're hopeless. I'm with positive people, which I reckon is fantastic.
Yeah, well, it's interesting how that happens, and it's also like when you realize that how many people are coming from a place of fear. You know, like I've seen that again and again. Like when I started getting into intuitive work, I had some. Yeah, I remember one conversation in particular where this guy was actually got kind of aggressive about that it was all bull plop. And then he was telling me about a story about getting ripped off by a psychic, and it's like this. And what I like about the intuition work and the real intuition work, it's not like, oh my God, I'm going to predict your future. It is literally like, okay, what is my gut saying at any particular moment?
Yeah.
Now I can pretty much guarantee if I came across a psychic that wasn't legit, my little gut would be right onto it.
Yeah.
I
tell you, every time. I totally agree. And the other part of that story for learning intuition as well is what I've learned is everyone's intuitive, but it's those that are open to it and are willing to use it and have a go that they can express themselves. So, it's an interesting, once again, we're doing William's work, and I've sat in intuitive circles, and this is at the start, and just started talking about it. And they go, how did you know that? I'm going, I don't know. It just comes to me. So everyone can do it. Everyone can do it.
I've been helping other people learn, like through Ellie's work, also with my own business, and the clients I work with, I like to teach them from that intuitive space.
Yeah.
And it's so good. But like, do you remember your first reading? I'll never forget my first 10-minute reading that I had to do one-on-one with a guy.
Yeah.
Well,
I'll give you an interesting story. I was with Williams, done some intuition work, going, oh, this is pretty good. And we're up in Melbourne, and it was like a 5-day event. And he goes, does anyone want to do a reading on me up on stage? And little Brian at the back put his hand up. Funny, he picked me. So I had to go up in front of, I don't know, 100 people and give a reading on William. And I guess that was the proof to me, because at the end he goes, wow, you see things so clear, Brian, because after the reading I gave him. And that was the confirmation for me that, yeah, intuition is real. I can use it and I will use it. So, yeah. But you're right, your first readings something special.
God, seriously, like I'll never forget, because like it was on the CYD, I think it was day 3 or 4 that we went off and we'd done group readings, you know, like little 1-minute snippets. And, you know, William was like, okay, you're going to do a 10-minute reading on each other. What was the theme? Like, might have been your true nature, you know, your true, you know, what your soul is wanting. Anyway, like I sat across this guy, all I knew from, I'd said hello to him. He seemed like a lovely guy. That's all I knew. Yeah. And to this day, I do the same process. I closed my eyes because I'm like, I don't want him to look at me while I'm just speaking plot, you know, like, and then, you know, like I'm watching and like, I'm seeing like, it was the rabbit out of Alice in Wonderland and it's looking, you know, I'm like, okay, what does that mean to me? I'm like, oh, okay. So you've got your current job and you're really good at it, but it doesn't really feed your purpose. And then I started going on about how this guy loves to travel. Home's not a huge importance to him, but he loves to travel to like sort of rarer destinations, like doesn't like the big tourist spot. And then I started going on about extreme sports like skydiving, and again, I've got my eyes closed. I'm like, God, how do I talk for 10 minutes? Suddenly the bell went quicker than I thought, and I looked at him and he's just like jaw dropped, like, how does that even? I was like, yeah, this work is incredible. Yeah.
And it's such a great exercise to do, or I think it's just, something like that to me would confirm to myself, this is real stuff. Keep on with it. You know, I'm on the right path.
Yeah. Well, it's a very it takes the woo out of it. Like it's a direct approach, and it's not claiming miracles. It's just going, hey, you know, and like this is pretty much proven. Like we have neurotransmitters in our guts. Like, you know, I talk to people, like we've got them in our heart too. So we've literally got 3 brains, but we're only taught that we've got 1 brain. And, you know, if our ancestors didn't have their intuition, you know, we wouldn't be here today. Like it's the intuition that keeps you alive in the wild.
Exactly. That's it. And they still use it today in Africa. That's how they survive.
Yeah. Have you had much dealings with like African trackers or? Yeah.
I've been out, another story. I've been out with a great guy. We stayed at a place in Sabi Sands, and this old Titus, he sits on the front and he's a tracker. And we're driving along and he just points left. And I'm going to drive, where are we going? And he goes, I don't know, but he always finds what we want. So we're going along a riverbed and I'm going, what are we doing along here? He goes, I don't know, but Titus says, come here. So we drove about 4 or 5K, come out to an opening where there's some water, and there was lions and their cubs having their morning drink, and we got within 2 meters of it. What? And I'm just sitting for about an hour watching these little cubs playing, and I've got some great photos of the lion and cub drinking. I said, how did he know that? He goes, I don't know. He does it every time though. He's just using his intuition. And, you know, that's another example, because doesn't matter how good tracker you were, you could have tracked snails up to, there's no way he would have found that normal tracking. He found it with his intuition. So,
Wow.
yeah. And I think for me, that's why, like, Ian does his soul safari over there, and it's just so much stronger. Like, it's just blasts you. When you're writing your Land of Plenty over there, it's like a novel. You just can't stop writing. So, yeah, I think it's, yeah, and that's why I love it over there, obviously. It just, I think, brings out the best of me. So,
yeah, it's just such a cool story, like where you've come from and then just making that decision that you wanted more. Or I guess, yeah, like you obviously, yeah, I think some of us are just naturally inclined to be looking for, you know, what's out there, you know? Like,
yeah. And I guess me, even as a kid, I could never be the same. I always wanted to be different. So, you know, if everyone was wearing treads or whatever in those days, I'd have something different, because I just couldn't be the same. I just, my stomach wouldn't let me do it. And I guess that's why I'm like I am now.
And where'd you grow up, Brian?
Oh, I've got plenty of time for that.
Plenty of time to grow up. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, so good. Well, it's been great talking to you, Brian, and I just want to say thank you so much for sharing your story.
Well, thanks for having me. It's been a real pleasure.
Yeah, and like, honestly, so if anyone out there is thinking they'd like to have a trip to Africa when the world opens up again, and obviously it's going to be a very unique experience that actually helps the local economy and helps the kids. Reach out to Brian. I'll be putting the links in the comment section. So thank you all for listening, and thank you very much, Brian. Look forward to hearing about Africa Raws growing over the years. It's absolutely fantastic.
That's great. Thanks so much, Carol. Great talking.
Thank you. All right, rascals, have a beautiful day.